locked and loaded.
What's
How
up?
you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
What's going on? How are you? Anything to talk about?
Yeah. It's just it just sucks for us down here because I've been one of the very few in the media that has stood next to this kid from the get-go, and I've said he's been a player and a baller. He just needed the coach and the weapons and a line that can help him out. And I thought for the last 2 years he got screwed over and over again. And then finally, here comes Mike McDaniel with a real offensive staff. Now, Chris Greer is not getting cock-blocked by Brian Flores. He can go out and make the moves he needs to make. And now you're getting the results. The kid's playing top 5 quarterbacking in the NFL. And then we have this shit happen. So it's frustrating, man, because, you watch the Bears for decades since McMahon, dude. They haven't had a guy. And before McMahon, I'm watching Bob Avellini and Vince Evans and shit like that when I'm growing up, And so we watch teams that will go into these valleys that they cannot find a quarterback. And Miami was in that valley for a long, long time since Marino. Yeah, Chad Pennington was a nice little quarterback, but we got that guy already beaten up at that point. And Jay Fiedler was a blue-collar guy, but no real franchise guy. And finally, you get the franchise guy, and this shit happens. And I think that's the most frustrating part about it all, Ian, because any fan base that has kind of gone through this whole thing of not being able to find a quarterback year after year after year, my God, when you finally find one, at least I knew that they found one. Others still needed to be convinced. I hope at least in these few weeks, people now will appreciate him a little bit more.
Yeah, and I think they will. And you're right. I mean, there's so much here. And, I don't know whose fault any of this is, honestly, because I know UNC has been fired. You could sort of make your own judgments on whether or not that was warranted or whether that was just a knee-jerk reaction to make sure that somebody took the blame for all this. I don't know that the protocol was violated. I don't know that someone did something wrong with the protocol. I mean, Tua was examined by like 5 doctors and all concluded he did not have a concussion. Yeah. So that's just, you can judge that from whatever it is, right?
And by the way, he came back in the second half and did not play woozy or anything and threw the kill shot to end that game, the 50-yarder. Ian, hate to interrupt you on this, but I'm going to interrupt you on this because I'm going to tell you who's to blame here. I'm going to tell you who's to blame here. Tua Tagovailoa. There's nobody else to blame but Tua Tagovailoa here. It's simple. It looked like a concussion on Sunday. There's no doubt about that in my mind. I thought he was out for Thursday, whatever. He comes back, he plays lights out, game's over. Fine, you move on. Some guys recover quickly, man. It happens. Sometimes it is a little bit, and you come back. The problem with Tua Tagovailoa, and Saban has said it, and I'm the guy that defends him and everything. I can't defend him here. He blew out his hip with 2 fat guys catching him. He blew out one of his 2 ankles because he held on to the ball. First week against New England this season, there were 3 instances where he tried to keep the play alive, and he almost either injured himself or turned over the ball, which is something he did in his first 2 years several times. But I can understand under Brian Flores and the limitations and all that, you're kind of pushing things, and I get all of that. Understandable. On Thursday night, he wasn't playing concussed or anything. Nothing was affecting him. He was playing really well overall. The problem was, Ian, on that play, that was the 5-second mark where he's getting tackled. You can't do that in the NFL, my brother. You can't keep playing hero ball. You are not Ben Roethlisberger. You are not Cam Newton. You are not any of these big body guys that can take some hits. Montana didn't hold on to the ball. Neither did Drew Brees. Neither did Fran Tarkenton. He's these kind of quarterbacks. I believe he is Montana, actually. That's the kind of guy I think he is. But those guys got rid of the football. And Tua has a hero ball complex that even Saban has talked about from his days at Alabama. And all of his major injuries all come from hero ball. And so Thursday night had nothing to do with Sunday. They can now make it all and make and dramatize it and everything that they want, and whether they screwed up on Sunday or not, whatever. Bottom line was, Tua brought this on himself. and he brings it on himself every time. I can defend him in everything else. I can't defend him here because he's got to stop the bad habit of hanging on to the ball. He does not have the kind of body that can take the punishment. So he's got to learn to get rid of the ball. I don't blame anybody but Tua Tagovailoa because he's created these problems for himself.
Yeah, I mean, I would say some of that I would agree with, some I would not agree with, because one of the problems when you have a deep strike offense, one that can really go down the field, is it doesn't always happen in 4 seconds. Sometimes it's 5 seconds, sometimes it's 6. And, when you thrive on big plays and you need a quarterback to deliver the big plays, sometimes they're going to get hit. And it's unfortunate. I do not blame Tua for the concussion. The hit is what it is. I mean, quarterbacks get tackled, quarterbacks get hit. It's just part of the position. I think a lot of the really good ones go through it too. I mean, in Cincinnati, Joe Burrow's kind of going through the same thing where he's trying to figure out, like,
he holds on to it.
When do I hold the ball and when do I get rid of the ball? And he makes big plays, but he also gets hit. What risk level is, appropriate? I think all of those are kind of, something to discuss. I would just say for Tua, you never wanted to get hurt and you hope his body holds up, but sometimes this is going to happen because he is going to take deep, deep strikes down the field. And that's what you want when you trade for, say, Tyreek Hill, for instance.
Yeah, I don't mind you taking deep strikes, but when it's not there, let it go, bro. When the play's dying, let it go. And he has not learned to do that. It's funny because and I'm going to ask him this directly when the next time he has a press conference. I'm going to be front and center. I'm going to ask him this because he also likes to quote Marino and say, pick a guy and let it fly. Well, nobody was quicker at throwing the ball away than Dan Marino. Okay?
Yeah.
And nobody ever in the history of the game that I've ever seen. Marino knew the play was dead. It was gone, bro. Gone. And that's a great trait to have. And he needs to actually develop that trait because all his major injuries have come from hanging on to the ball. And as I jokingly say, fat guys were catching him. Not defensive ends, not linebackers, fat guys. So he's just like Baker Mayfield, who can't outrun a drunk cop. You don't have the athleticism, brother. Get rid of the ball. And that's the only thing that I would ask him to do is get rid of it. Now, in this investigation now that he has to apparently meet with the NFL, NFLPA, what's going on here? What are they trying to accomplish, please?
So he met with the investigators yesterday, and generally the subject is the last person to be interviewed. Not that he's at fault. And I'm just saying, like, the person at the center of it's usually the last person to get interviewed. So that means should be wrapping up soon. I would imagine Thursday or Friday we'll probably have some sort of resolution. And, what they are trying to figure out is not, did he have a concussion? Did he not? That's not the goal here. The goal here is, did the protocol work? Did doctors or whoever was involved here, team doctors, independent doctors, trainers, anyone, was the NFL protocol violated? Did they follow the proper steps? That's really what this is. It's not a gotcha, you made the wrong medical decision. It's, did you follow the right process? And, so that's one thing. The other thing is the process is going to change. Process is going to change out of this. It already has. I mean, if you show gross motor instability, falling down, stumbling, etc., you're going to be off the field now. It's not going to be left up to a doctor to say, was it his neck, was it his back? I think they'll be overly cautious, as they should, and now you'll just be taken off the field.
So how come T. Higgins wasn't brought up right at the same time? Because he had, 2 dings going into that game and playing? And now the J.J. Watt thing broke, which I don't think that was right to break that personal stuff. But, it's funny how this kid is the lightning rod that everybody else. There's other things going on, people that get concussed in the games and they come right back, and yet it's not really talked about. Then this one, is it all the video and the fingers and all that? Is this the Rice all over again? Is that what it is?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that. I mean, but I do think, the indelible image of his fingers, of going in the fencing posture and his fingers looking like they did, was really jarring for some people. And I don't think, or I don't know that he did anything wrong. I don't know that he's really at fault here. So I don't think he's getting criticized. It's just he's been in the news because people are talking about the situation he's involved in, not necessarily saying it's something that he did wrong.
By the way, one of your former stops, do they have a quarterback controversy?
Where's that?
In Dallas? Just wondering.
God.
I
thought you meant in New England with Bailey Zappi.
Oh, yeah, no, I know the owner wanted Bailey apparently and all that stuff over. I mean, listen, Brian Hoyer has been stealing money from this league the last couple of years. He's a terrible quarterback. He has no business starting in the NFL. So, but I'm just, it's funny to hear people talk about how, with Jerry and all this, would he create a controversy now with Cooper? And it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's funny.
No, the answer obviously is no, but
of course not.
It's interesting because the Cowboys got a lot of criticism when they didn't go try to get someone better. Why would you go with Cooper Rush? Why not try to get Jimmy Garoppolo or Cam Newton or whoever? And it's like, maybe they knew. Maybe they knew that this was a really viable backup quarterback. And, going back to the Dolphins a little bit, like nobody wants to pay money for something they're not going to use. Nobody wants to pay $6.5 million for a backup quarterback who's never going to play. You hope that it's a waste of money. However, when you get to where the Dolphins are now, I bet they're damn happy that they paid $6 million for Teddy Bridgewater because he's going to give them a chance to win.
Well, I tell you what, we got Dolphin fans that want Skylar Thompson instead. And I'm like, come on, man. He was terrific, but he played no
fans want a lot of things, to be fair. So,
I mean, it's just like they have no idea what defenses are going to do. And then they brought up Cooper Rush, and it's like, well, Cooper Rush has actually been in the league for 5 years. He's not a fresh-eyed rookie. He's been in the same division, going back and forth. Giants out, so he is comfortable in that division and everything for 5 years. He has way more experience than Skylar Thompson. You know what I mean? As impressive as Skylar Thompson has been. Any ballpark? Any guess you think how long Tua's out? I think he's back for Pittsburgh. By the way, I think Teddy Two Gloves plays the Jets, and then he plays his former team. Everybody writes about all that stuff, and then he's back 24 days removed from it to take down Flo and the Steelers.
I don't know, and that's one of the tough things about concussions is, it's not like a sprained ankle. You say, this kind of sprained ankles, you're back 2 games. So I hope he's back when he's ready. I don't know that it's going to be an extended period of time, but I know with all the eyeballs on it, you knew he was going to be out this game for sure. For sure. We'll see what happens. We'll see if he's able to get back to practice, but you just hope that he feels better. I think that's the main thing.
Strange thing about Tua. As much as he's been injured, notice one thing. He is a very quick healer in all of them. Doesn't matter. I mean, he blew out his hip, and he was 10 months later ready to get slammed by Michael Brockers on an NFL field.
Yeah.
Okay? That's a tough kid. And he got, his bell rung in the first half of that game and came back in the second half to throw the kill shot. So this guy, look, they have Ethan Carter, who probably will miss again this week. That's 4 weeks with a concussion. They're all different. This kid seems to heal quickly. I don't know what it is. Everybody's different, man. We're all wired differently, but it's a hell of a story. All right, what are you working on the NFL Network this week, my man?
Well, that's a little bit of a different week. We got a different pregame show because it's a game in London, which is on NFL Network, which will be a lot of fun. Packers, Giants, and we'll see what happens with this Tua thing and the investigation, and we'll kind of go from there. It'll be interesting.
Follow him on Twitter at Rap Sheet and catch his work there at the NFL Network. Thank you, my brother. Appreciate you as always.
Good stuff, man. Take care.
You got it. There you go. The great Ian Rapoport. That's our look around the NFL.
This is the Big O Show.